Paper 2, question 17. Some girls did a sponsored swim to raise money for charity. The table shows information about the amount of money the girls raised. It tells you that the least amount was £10, the greatest amount was 45, that the median was £25, and that the upper and lower quartiles were £42 and £16. A. On the grid, draw a box plot for the information in the table. Now, I've got the box plot here for the second part of the question, but the reason why I put this here is just to remind of the 5 vertical lines that you have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The values that these represent is known as a 5-figure summary, which contains information that you have in the table. So you have your least on the left hand side, down there. You have your most or greatest on the right hand side here. The median is in the middle, also known as Q2, and you have your lower quartile 1, Q1, and your upper quartile Q3. Those 5 vertical lines are it. And if we take that 10, 16, 25, 42 and 45 in that order, and then draw vertical lines for those, we end up with that. Okay. Once you have those vertical lines, it's simply a case of joining up what we have with horizontal lines. So we create our box between the quartiles, and then in the middle joining out to what are known as our whiskers, or our greatest and smallest, our outliers. Okay, that gives us our box plot. You need to make sure that you're drawing to the scale. They've provided you with a scale, which makes this slightly a nicer question. You have to make sure that you draw everything to scale appropriately. Also, the purpose of this question, as we're about to find out in part B, is then it tells you that some boys did a sponsored swim, and this is the box plot based on the money that they raised. Part B asks, compare the amounts of money the girls raised with the amounts of money the boys raised. Or in other words, compare these box plots and give a sort of worded real-life answer of what's going on here. Now, when you're comparing box plots, there are 2 things that you care about. One is the position of the median, which is the average, which is a middle value. So based on the application of this question, we're talking about money raised. Comparing the medians will allow you to say, on average, who raised more money, the boys or the girls. Okay, so that's the first thing we'll do. The second thing that we're interested in any box plot question is the width of the box, also known as the interquartile range. That there has the middle half values and gives you a good representation of the spread of the data, of how consistent the data is, how varied the data is. So do you have amounts of money that are really spread out? So for example, in the girls or the boys data set, were there lots of people that had roughly the same amount, so you were consistent, or were you having lots and lots of people with very varied amounts? The widths of the box allow you to make a statement based on that. So from this, I can tell you that the girls' box plot, which is on the top one, their median is less than the boys, which means that the girls raised, on average, less money than the boys. And the box we have here is wider than the boys, meaning that the girls raised, the amounts of money that they raised was more varied. And we put that in 2 sentences as follows. No, that's question 18. I'll just use this. The boys raised more money than the girls. And it's important to state that it's on average, because you're comparing the medians. It's not an overall basis that every boy raised more than the girls. It's just on average. Okay, that's comparison of medians, comparison of the amounts of money, 1 mark. The second mark comes from comparing the box plots. You can say that the amount of money raised by the girls was more varied, or you could say the amount of money raised by the boys was less varied, or you could say that the amount of money raised by the boys was more consistent. Any of those is fine. The less or more varied is usually the safest option. Doesn't matter which way you compare. So the boys, should say the amount of money raised by the boys amount of money raised by the boys was less varied. Less varied than the amount raised by the girls. I can see you have 2 marks for the 2 comparisons.